Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by. So just some thoughts. I was just talking to someone. I moved and have a new neighbor, and he's Catholic, and he said some things that let me know he's Catholic. And then, as I was walking away, I was like, why do I criticize Neo-Advaita, and why do I not criticize Catholicism? And then today I went to a yoga class, and oh my gosh, they were just so much Advaita Vedanta. Like, you are God. That's not even Advaita Vedanta. That's bad Advaita Vedanta. But regardless. And, in the middle of class, I didn't go, that's Advaita Vedanta, and I'm into Vasishta Advaita Vedanta, or I didn't say that's bad Advaita Vedanta. I just kind of, let myself get a little irritated, and then, prayed for them. And, but why not? And why make this channel? And questions. Well, first and foremost, in terms of Catholicism, I'm convinced that Catholicism is not the pure teaching of Jesus Christ, and yet it makes the claim to it. So why not criticize it? Well, it's not my thing. I'm not a formal member of the Catholic Church. I'm not really a member of any Christian church. It's not my cause, you could say. Whereas for many years, I considered myself a Hindu. I was very, very determined with non-duality, and also because just because of my own experience and my knowledge base, I can help other people. The Catholic Church has lots of problems. There's no question about it. And Neo-Advaita, if taken seriously, is deadly. It's very dangerous. I know this from my own experience and the experience of others. And the thing is I think my problem with Neo-Advaita, whereas I'm like, okay, Catholics, do your thing, is Neo-Advaita is making a false claim about itself. It's claiming that it is Advaita Vedanta, and it really isn't. Catholicism claims that it's the teachings of Jesus, and I think that's partially true. So I guess we all have our things that we do. Hopefully out of service. I started this channel out of anger, and my hope is that it's my motive is now more service oriented. It's such a cliche to say, oh, we are one, or you are God, or everything is God. But who's really thought about that? And where's that coming from? My experience of Advaita Vedanta, my own, and talking with a lot of people, is that most people, they're not speaking from experience. They're speaking from an idea. And so it really is a religion. It really has become a religion of taking on a belief system. I had someone being like, you are God. They were adamant. They were practically preaching at me. It was really, it was very interesting. And, I tend to just let things slide, such things slide. I don't tend to go in churches or temples and start arguments with people. Someone comes by my channel and posts some Neo-Advaita stuff, I'll argue back, but I don't tend to go looking for a fight. But who's really thought about that? You are God. There's one thing to say God is in everything. But most people never really thought about okay, this is God? What does that mean? Does that mean this is part of God? That God is everything and does that mean that this contains the totality? That's one of the claims of Advaita Vedanta, that the drop of water actually is the ocean, which I haven't experienced that to be true. I've experienced that the drop of water is deeply and intimately connected with the ocean. So, the thing I love about traditional Advaita is that it's kind of offered as a working hypothesis, and it gives you tools to verify in your own experience. Whereas the modern satsang culture is it really is a church kind of place. I've sat in many a satsang where someone has said the wrong thing and like everyone pounces on them. You are the self. Who is aware of that? What's behind that thought or feeling? And I've shared this story. I don't have the person's name yet. I'm still, but I believe this is someone I met. An actual satsang teacher in Australia, really, really started to suffer. And he went to the satsang. He's like, guys, I am suffering so much. And they're like, well, you of anyone, this is a satsang teacher. They were like, you of anyone, that you are the self. You're the witness. And he's like, but it's the suffering is so bad. And I've tried that and it just keeps coming. And they just gave him more Neo-Advaita nonsense. And the dude killed himself. That's why I call it a cult. That's why I say it's dangerous, because it's just a complicated word game. Let's see if I can find this. I write some on Quora, and maybe at some point I'll share this on this channel. And some of my writing is critiquing Neo-Advaita. And this guy came by and he was just really upset by what I wrote. He's like, I offer satsang based on my own experience, and I tell people to go, I tell people to go have a beer or go have sex or enjoy life. And I know it upsets Orthodox Hindus, but I teach people how to attract what they want with law of attraction. And so let's break this down, because this is what Neo-Advaita is. It's people having an experience, a momentary experience or a momentary realization, and then going out and teaching. Ramana spoke about how, there's 3 samadhis. One, I think it's called nirvikalpa. That's where the whole world just disappears, but you're still aware of yourself. The second is samadhi with effort. I forget the Sanskrit, forgive me. That's where through effort, the self shines forth and the ego is submerged, but not destroyed. And then there's sahaj samadhi, in which effortless self-inquiry just continues forever, where you're just immersed in the self. And so most of these Neo-Advaita teachers, what they've had is samadhi with effort. And they're like, oh, that's it. I've got it. It's really funny. Some of them then go and teach meditation, and they need to meditate every day to sort of stay connected to the. But so this guy had an experience, and then he goes out and starts teaching. And the thing is teaching non-duality is like teaching. It's like teaching people to do surgical procedures on themselves. Non-duality is not for fucking around. Non-duality is a complete rearrangement of your identity, of your understanding of reality, of the purpose of life, your relationship to desire. It's a complete undoing of a lot. And so I did a little research. And so this guy is depressed. He's oversleeping. He didn't say how much, but he's like, I'm sleeping so much, which probably means 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And here he is teaching people the most intimate. Non-duality is very intimate because it gets into the fundamentals of your identity, how you live life, your relationship to desire. Think about that. Desire is like the driving force for everything. And non-duality starts tinkering with that. That's like tinkering with your lungs. And this is some joker on the internet who had an experience and now is teaching people. In essence, there's yoga practices where you can learn to control your heartbeat. You can like slow your heartbeat down. You can consciously, like all these things that are unconscious, like your metabolism rate, whether you sweat or not, you can gain conscious control over these autonomic systems. But the thing is that a good idea? Right? Those systems are kind of functioning well. Do you really want to gain control of your heartbeat? And so, non-duality is even more intimate than that. It breaks down your sense. It rearranges your sense of reality. So you've got teachers who are like doing it for money, who are sleeping with their students. Not only are they not qualified, not only do they not know what they're doing, but you have people who do it professionally, like it's their job. Talk about vested interest. And the non-dual world is just rampant with people sleeping with their students. Sadly to say, it's mostly men. What's up, bros? Come on. Yeah. So it's a shit show, friends. And so I always point people back to some traditional Advaita Vedanta, such as Ramana Maharshi's Upadesha Swaram, contains the whole path. James Schwartz, The Essence of Enlightenment. James makes his book available for free on the internet. I mean, that blew me away. I don't know James. I can't. I've associated with James a little bit, so I can't say more than I've had a good impression so far. But the dude makes his book available for free. That's pretty impressive to me. So, it's a bummer. It's a bummer what's going on. And it's, I started off by talking about Catholicism. Catholicism is a far from perfect system, but it is a system. And if someone fucks up or fucks someone, then there's repercussions and there are authorities, and those authorities sometimes fall short. But there's something. Same with a doctor. If a doctor messes up, there's repercussions. And there's a system in place. And I used to be this everything goes, freedom kind of, like I describe myself as like a hippie without the drugs. And in spiritual realms, that doesn't really work. It really doesn't work. To be a Swami, to be a teacher in the Hindu tradition, you have to renounce everything. Sex, possessions, money. To some extent, even your family, well, that's more sannyasi. I don't think a Swami has to renounce family, but family obligations. You have to commit fully. And compare this with your average Neo-Advaita satsang teacher who has a girlfriend or a wife, is teaching satsang often to make money, gives a satsang once a week, and then the rest of the week just kind of does, just kind of hangs out, does whatever they do. I mean, I know one Neo-Advaita teacher near my old home lives in a mansion. I don't know the exact value of the mansion. Given the area he lives in, I would estimate at least $1.5 million. Where do you think that money came from? From his students. So he's turned it into a business. And that's why, the traditional ways, yes, they fall short. Yes, they're kind of can be stodgy and tight, but there's something to be said about them. Something to be said for them. I met an actual Swami. Now, again, a Swami is basically a renunciate teacher. It's like a monk teacher. This guy was the real deal. The satsang I went to an actual Hindu satsang. Who'da thunk? After like thousands of fake Hindu satsangs, I went to a real one. So this is like an ordained Swami. He's a renunciate. He's a monk. You know what the satsang was? It was people singing bhajans for an hour and a half. Then there was a Hindu ceremony, an arti. This was in a temple or a mandir, a small temple. And then afterwards, he just kind of sat to the side and people went up one by one to talk to him. Ramana Maharshi didn't give lectures. That's not how spirituality works. Spirituality is a very individualized process. And so one by one, people went up and talked to this guy. He didn't even, nothing was advertised. This was my first time there. And I just went up to say hello. And I stayed and talked to the guy for like 25 minutes. And he wanted to know about me. He wanted to know, what I did for a living. I was able to talk to him about some personal problems and get like actual helpful spiritual feedback as opposed to just inquire. Or who is it who has that problem? Or the nonsense I heard today, like, you are God. And there's a time and place for that. And a real guru knows when to apply that medicine. So, wow, 5 live viewers. Hey, everyone, thanks for joining in. Yeah. I never formally introduced myself on this channel because I was trying to avoid lawsuits. One Neo-Advaita teacher filed a lawsuit against another YouTuber to try and get him to take his videos down. I just want to deal with it. But so I'll say hello. My name is Arthur and my legal name is Truth. And sooner or later, I'll put up more contact info. And I'm not a guru, as I've said before, and I will say 1,000 times. I'm a yogi. I'm on my good days, I'm very devoted to the path and sadhana and service in God. On my not good days, not so, not as much, but I strive every day. And I think one advantage that I don't plan on ever becoming a teacher of non-duality. But who knows? But one advantage I think I had maybe over other seekers, but I still fell for it, but over other seekers or over these other teachers is I majored in religion in college. So I learned this scholarly approach of like, the details actually are important and really have an objective understanding of what's being taught. So the scholarly approach to religion would be like, not, the spiritual approach is like, let's say Ramana Maharshi. The spiritual approach is what Ramana Maharshi taught true, and how can I experience it? The scholarly approach is, what did Ramana Maharshi actually teach? With no, is it true? Is it not true? With no trying to get something. And so that really has served me well. The other thing is I really studied the Gita before I found non-duality. And I kept coming across this idea in the Gita about the gunas, the 3 qualities of mind, which are central to all of Hindu thought and central to Advaita Vedanta. But of course, it just ignored in Neo-Advaita, and very, very not sexy, very not good for business, because the gunas, you actually have to do a little work to so and the other thing is, I would have been a guru by now, except I have something called complex PTSD, which is a very it's like PTSD on steroids. And so I struggle a lot and suffer a lot with that. But if I didn't have that, I would absolutely be a guru. So because I've had many, many profound spiritual experiences. And it's very easy for me to drop into, as I said, samadhi with effort. You know, the non-dual state. I just still have to make a little effort. And so in some ways I can have some compassion. I call them jokers. Neo-Advaita teachers. In some ways I can have some compassion, because if I didn't have the complex PTSD, that would have been me a long time ago. Many, many profound awakening experiences. Easy access to altered states. And until it's effortless, it's an altered state. So that's what spared me from being a fake teacher. And yeah, I got a comment, an interesting comment. So, Neo-Advaita is deluded nonsense. It is essentially a way for lazy, entitled Westerners to believe they are enlightened without the years of devotion, concentration, selfless service, and yes, self-inquiry that classical, authentic Advaita demands. It is a product of our Western culture of impatience, instant gratification, and entitlement. Yeah, I think that's an accurate analysis. So that's the thing is, thanks, Mohammed. So that's the thing is to, Neo-Advaita teachers will say, drop the mind, or that's just mind. Whereas classical Advaita Vedanta, study and cultivation of the mind is part of the path. There are some people who it's not necessary for, a rare few. And to such people, Ramana would just not say anything, or he would tell them just inquire, because they were ripe and they were ready. And he once said it like this, for the very ripe soul, they have to just hear the truth once. For the one who's more ripe, but not completely, they hear the truth and then they need to reflect on it. And then for the rest, it takes years of intense effort. Now that just destroys the whole Neo-Advaita movement right there. And if it wasn't a religion, and if these teachers didn't have a vested interest, they would hear a video like this and they would just change their ways. But they have a vested interest and it's a religion. Same for all the followers of this religion. I would say cult, really.
Trauma stored in your body.
And then someone wrote to me, and please don't point to Ramana. If you do so, you are placing yourself in the very exalted category of the super gifted few. How we love to think of ourselves in such flattering terms. Well, I don't know exactly what this person means. Please don't point to Ramana. I don't point to Ramana as like, I'm in Ramana's lineage, or but I must point to Ramana, as I must point to the Bhagavad Gita, as I must point to I haven't studied them as much, but to a lesser extent the Upanishads. Like Ramana was the real deal. So I think what this person is being like, don't claim that you're in Ramana's lineage, which I don't, because Ramana doesn't have a lineage. I don't place myself in an exalted category of the super gifted few. I'm a bozo on the bus. So thanks for that comment. Yeah, I couldn't express it more clearly. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by, everyone. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for the encouragement, Mohammed, and same to you. You keep on going. Take care, dear ones. Much love. Catch you soon.